We are talking about the movie Paranormal Demons. This one opposed to your garden variety demons. And this one is written and directed by David Bruckner. Now this one actually takes place in Germany, but it features a class of international students as one of them decides that they want to kind of debunk a video that's kind of surfaced online about an apparent kind of paranormal attack on a couple of kind of German filmmakers. So they decide, as part of her project or whatever it is she's doing at college, they're going to kind of go in there and debunk this particular video. So her and a kind of a group of friends, I think there's 5 of them in total, head off to this kind of this abandoned sanitarium which was used in World War II and World War I by obviously the forces occupying that country at that particular time. And there they discover this hospital may not be as kind of as a hoax as they initially thought. There may well be some type of presence in this kind of building that's going to kind of want to cause them harm. What happens? You'll have to watch the movie to find out. Let's discuss Paranormal Demons. So a found footage movie, and it's really, to be honest with you, this film, right from the get-go, I can tell you is nothing new. There's nothing new with this film. I think it attempts to have a different antagonist in the fact that it's, from the reading the credits, the thing is classed as a golem, which is interesting because you don't really see, I mean, we're not talking Lord of the Rings here. Golems aren't something we see typically in films, but I didn't feel that the movie ever really did a good job of kind of getting that across, and you just thought it was some rando demon kind of that looks like a slasher. Anyway, so what works in this movie? I've got to say, the movie takes its time getting to kind of supernatural elements, but when we do get there, the kind of the antagonist, shall we call it, I've got to say it looks fairly impressive. You're a bit unsure what you're looking at, I've got to say, because it's you think you're looking at a slasher, but obviously it's called Paranormal Demons, and then it's credited as a golem, but it's never really said what it is, but it seems to be supernatural in origin. So yeah, but the actual kind of the aesthetics of this kind of antagonist I did think looked pretty cool, and there's actually a fair attempt here to have some gore shots here. People's getting their intestines kind of like ripped out and stuff like that, beheadings. So there is a for a found footage movie there is a reasonable amount of gore. I've got to say the gore effects to me actually looked pretty good for a kind of a low budget film. I thought they were quite good, and so it doesn't skimp away from the kind of the horror and the violence that sometimes these films do and kind of have it off camera. This one just kind of does show it, so you know, hats off to that. And I've got to say, I think trying to kind of tie it into a kind of a World War II theme was a good idea, but I don't think it's executed particularly well because you don't really feel like it's kind of it works quite as well as they think it does, because it's unclear about what the movie doesn't do a good enough job of kind of setting up what's actually kind of happening and stuff like that. But this film, let's talk about some of the negatives for a minute. So the acting in this film is really poor. I mean, I find found footage films, generally speaking, the acting is not so bad because, you know, people kind of tend to be kind of more kinetic and kind of more genuinely reacting to stuff. But here the acting was really bad. And there seems to be the constant kind of need to describe what people are doing. So our main kind of character, Mary, is this girl who's got this project. She's kind of constantly describing what she's doing. It just seems unnecessary. But her, you know, I've got to say, out of everyone, because she struggles in regards to the heavy lifting in regards to the acting here. A couple of the other guys are not as bad, but there's no great acting here. Don't get me wrong. I've got to say, I think I have a little bit of a problem with the actual premise as well. So for me, going to debunk a video seems counterproductive because we say there's plenty of videos on YouTube, and they actually use their own YouTube, which I was surprised about. But it just seems like you would go there to prove it rather than to disprove it, if that makes sense, because no one really thinks these videos are real. There's plenty of kind of like fake out and prank videos online, so it almost seems like, you know, telling someone to suck eggs, so to speak, about disproving a video that a lot of people think might be pranked. And they even say in the intro, in the beginning of the movie, that people haven't seen all of the video because it's been censored on YouTube. It's like, well, if they haven't even seen it, how are you even proving, what's the point of trying to prove it's not even real? It just seems weird. It just seems like an odd setup. And then when we go there, they're actually trying to use like flour and stuff to try and find footprints of entities. And I think, well, hang on, I thought you said you were trying to disprove it. So why are you trying to kind of almost capture ghosts, if that makes sense? So to me, the kind of the logic of this movie didn't really kind of make sense. Now, I will say the actual location shooting here is really good. And they go into this kind of this sanitarium, this hospital, and it looks fantastic. It's actually a gift to a filmmaker to have as a kind of a haunted asylum, haunted kind of like hospital, because it really does look dilapidated and dangerous. And to be honest with you, when they're going through these kind of like these hallways, I think, man, looks like a really dangerous shoot, because the kind of the floor's got holes in the ground and things like that. So it looks authentically kind of run down and kind of abandoned. But when we do see our kind of visual effects, so to speak, it just gets a little bit silly, because the camera constantly has this kind of like this fake kind of like distortion and stuff like that, and it goes OTT with it, so it's kind of a lot of the time it's obscuring what you're seeing. And then obviously one of the problems is with found footage films in general is the kind of the shaky camera, you can't see. And this movie just looks like it's just got a camera and a piece of string, and it's just kind of being twirled around towards the end. Although you do see some shots when the camera is static that do kind of work in regards to some of the kind of the gore shots. A lot of the time it just looks like someone's just like whizzing a camera around, and it's just kind of, you know, it's not particularly interesting to look at. So overall, I've got to say this movie does have a couple of okay sequences and kind of like some ideas here, but it just doesn't work in other areas. I mean, another one I just kind of will mention just before I forget is that it's use of audio effects. So there's kind of like these weird kind of like scary sounds that happen, but the cast don't react to it. So it's almost like in the movie when they were shooting it, no one told them that there was going to be these creepy sounds, and then they put them on, and the cast just kind of seem oblivious to it. So I'm thinking, okay, if that's not meant to be sound effects, is this meant to be music? But it's just kind of like weird whispering and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense. So this film has got some poorly thought out kind of situations in it that this film they should have had more time with. So I'll give it a 4 out of 10. You know, there's worse you can do here, but I just think it's just not very well constructed. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.